What's up, YouTube and fellow Guardians? We noticed that on Galactic War and also in the chat, some people were talking about not being able to finish all 12 nodes. And we definitely want you guys to be able to do that because a third of the rewards are stacked almost in that 12th node. I don't know the exact breakdown, but it's a lot of them like that. And if you think about it, if you were only getting 800 gems a day, but the other guys in the arena are getting 1,200, they're gaining 50% more reward than you. That means by the time you reach, high level 4, low level 5-star characters, they've already got their character 7-star, which is a huge advantage in the arena and actually a really big advantage in terms of character growth. So don't look at it as, oh, okay, well, I just missed out on 400. If you miss out on that 400, there's people out there that aren't, and they're growing 50% faster than you in terms of these Galactic War tokens. So there's tons of videos out there on strategy. We wanted to create a video specifically on game mechanics, and we'll create some more on character rosters, who we recommend, but we wanted to put one out there because a lot of people didn't know about some of just taking advantage of some of these game mechanics of how Galactic War works, because it works slightly different than Arena. And we wanted to make sure you guys knew that, to start messing with that, start playing with your squads, start playing with your attacks, and hopefully get you guys finishing Node 12 every day. For me, using these tactics, not even looking at squad. I started out with a small squad just like you guys and built up, but I finished the Galactic War every single time. I want to say I've been playing this game for about 3 months. I failed 3 times. Those were all in the beginning. And there's one time I failed later on. But since I changed it and started to understand some of these game mechanics, I've been able to manipulate them in a way that I've been able to pass this Galactic War, all 12 nodes, every single day. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and hey, if you're experienced and you knew all these, great, but let's make sure all of our Guardians start on the same page and have the same opportunities so that we can start growing as a guild and really start putting out the best effort that we can. So the first thing to talk about when we talk about mechanics is the difficulty of Galactic War. You'll notice that it kind of scales with you. There are a total of 12 nodes, you can count them out here. And most of these nodes are going to be weaker. You're going to notice a slight challenge on Node 3, Node 6, Node 9, 11, and 12. And there's some stats out there. I don't know how accurate they are or if they're just guesstimates, but the general rule is that Node 6 will be basically like 5-10% weaker than you. Node 9 will be about the same strength, and then Node 11 and 12 are both boosted, with 12 being the hardest, where you're going to face teams that are more powerful than you. So you need to figure out tricks to either shut them down and do a lot of damage to kind of take out some characters, or you need to figure out how to send in multiple squads against them. I'm going to focus on kind of tricks. Basically, these are mechanics, okay, too. So I don't want to say that these are going to be talking about squad rooster or squaster, or which characters to choose. We'll make a different video for this. This is specifically on the 3 tips related to the mechanics. So first, understand that. Now, when I say equal power to you, how is that? How is that calculated? I don't know the exact answer, but I do know some people swear by the fact that it's your arena score. So you'll see here my arena is about 3,300, which means that Node 9 would be about, a team about 3,300. And Node 12 will be a team that's 15%, 10% higher, more challenging than 3,300. I've also heard that it is based on your top 5 most powerful characters. Now, in theory, your arena team should basically be close to your top 3 characters, right? So if it was based on my top 5, Qui-Gon would be there at 6,500. Lando would be there at 62, and you'll notice that my battle droid at 61 and Jabba will be at 61. They're not too far off, but roughly, I can't look at the code. It's either the top 5 characters or the arena team. So when we talk about that, just know that when we talk about your power, it's somewhere in between those. Those should be close. So I just wanted to point that out. So what you want to do is what we'll call turn beater cranking. So here is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and what the story is with Galactic War is you'll see how a lot of my units already had turn meter entering, okay? That's because your turn meter carries over from the previous round from each node to each node in the Galactic War. So that's why all of these, characters that I used in the first node are going to be ready to go right away, but you'll saw Obi-Wan was in kind of last place there and didn't go until after everyone else had gone. So Obi-Wan, though, has a very, very useful trick with Mind Tricks, where it basically shuts down the enemy's abilities for 1 turn. Okay, and that's huge, because not only did you go first, they're forced to use their basics for the first turn, and then you get to go a second time. So you get to go 2 full times really with your whole squad before they even get to use any of their abilities, which can really turn, you know, the node 6 and node 9 or node 11. Those are typically when I'll use this trick. That can really turn the tide in your favor, where you could take out 1 or 2 units, and then you know, it's not going to be as hard. A 5v4 or 5v3 is really easy, and you get that by using Obi-Wan Kenobi to kind of basically shut down their abilities. So the way you can get Obi-Wan to go first is what we're seeing right here, is with this turn meter crank, where your turn meter will carry over from one round to the next round. So what you want to do is units that you want to go absolutely first, you want them to have a really high turn meter, okay? So here we have Jedi Consular, Qui-Gon Jinn, and they're going to go before Obi-Wan. So you see how Obi-Wan basically is about to go. Qui-Gon Jinn's going to go and kill Barriss Offee here. Down. And Obi-Wan's going to be able to go right away. So no matter what team I go against, it doesn't matter how fast they are, since turn meter carries over, tip 1 is crank the units you need to go first. So like bring in a lot of units in the first, you know, 1, 2, and 4 nodes to crank their turn meter as high as you can, like right here with Obi-Wan, and you'll see he can go first here. He can do his Jedi mind tricks, and that'll really shut down like nodes 6, 9, 11 to kind of turn the tide in your favor. Okay, so tip number 2, looks like all my Jedis are actually hitting Sidious today. Typically they avoid. I think you guys know how that is. Sidious is kind of a dodge master. So what you want to do in the upper left-hand corner, you see that gear right next to the 1/1 and above the auto. Select that, and you see the retreat button there? If we hit this retreat button, we can exit this battle. So if I had lost, you know, 2 units or 1 unit, 3 units, doesn't matter, I can exit it, and it's as if I never lost those characters. I'm starting the node from scratch. So tip number 2 is use that retreat whenever you're losing characters or battles aren't going the way you are, to back out and try again with a different team. So let's say, you know, obviously Sidious Dodge Master against Jedi. I bring in a team with no Jedi, so for example, I'll use a Tebow lead here, along with Cad Bane to kind of do a little bit of turn meter manipulation, where I'll use Tebow to delay the units I don't want to attack, and I'll use Cad Bane to give me a stun and 100% turn meter remove on a Jedi. That tends to work out really well against these kind of like Sidious and Jedi teams here. So you'll see... See, they all get to go before these units because I haven't used these units yet. That's why you turn meter crank all of these units too in the beginning. So since Jedi Consular is about to go, he's not a big threat, but by using Cad Bane's stun, I remove his turn meter and he's stunned. So I took 2 turns away from him by doing that. And then I'll just kind of carry on. So that was tip number 2, is back out, pick a different squad, and come back in, and you'll see the battle will typically go a lot smoother based on you know, better team design, or perhaps even just better RNG. Alright guys, and for tip number 3, to kind of like piggyback off of that previous one, so let's go in with this team, and I have Lando turn meter cranked from tip number 1, and we're going to use tip number 2 to back out, but watch what happens. I'm going to rock Lando, and then boom, did you see that? I only got a crit on Yoda. So let's back out, because obviously using Lando you want to crit at least 2, otherwise you got to go on a cooldown to use it. So watch what happens. This is tip number 3, is that when it comes to the attack order and the results in terms of deflection, in terms of critical hits, it's always the exact same. Yoda will just get 1 crit, everyone else does not get a crit. Whoop, wrong button. And it doesn't matter how many times I do that. If I have the exact same team and I go in the exact same turn order, Lando will always just do the same thing over and over again. So when it comes to Galactic War, so here we go. So Yoda, just only crit, and we don't want that to happen. So there are 2 things you can do. You can either 1, change your attack order, or 2, you can actually just change your team. Okay? So a good example would be, instead of Nebbit, let's grab another tank. We'll grab Royal Guard. By changing my team, that's going to change how the game calculates the R&D. So here I go. I'm going to go Lando. Boom, I got 2 on Qui-Gon and on Luminara. So now I could probably keep going, keep attacking, doing whatever I want. But if you don't get the R&D that you want in terms of, like, you know, effects of Lando, if you're going against Sidious and he keeps dodging your Jedi, what you can do is change your team. So I'm going to go again. You'll see only Lumi and Qui-Gon. Boom. They're going to get it every time. And even if I try to switch back now, so if I were to come here take him out, take in Nebbit. So this is the team that we had before. It's still going to only crit on Yoda. It doesn't matter how many times I try this. The exact same team against the exact same team for this run is always going to give the same results, only Yoda. So that's no good. So that is kind of like tip number 2 would be kind of the R&D factor. It's actually not random. You can change your team, but not only that, another way that the attack order can change is we all know that Sidious can be a little bit of a dodge master, right? So particularly against Jedi, I'm going to try and use Lumi to do her ability block. It just whiffs. He's going to go and call in Lando, so that hits, and you'd think you'd be able to take him out here this next attack, but boom, you whiff again. So we saw that if you keep doing that same thing over and over again and use the same team over and over again, you're going to get the same results. However, another thing you can do is change your attack order. So instead of targeting the same unit or doing the same, special attack or basic, you can actually change the order or attack order, and it'll actually change the results as well. So instead of going after Sidious, if I go after Lumi and I get the ability block and I go back to here, this is going to hit. He's still going to call in Lando. Now, last time, and if I were to do this over and over again, where I was always targeting Sidious, Jedi Consular would miss. But now watch what happens when I do this time. He hits, and that's because I changed the attack order where I went after Lumi instead. So if you change your attack order of the way in which you hit the units, that'll also change potentially the outcome of whether it's a hit, whether it's a critical, that sort of thing. So if you really just got to take out that first character, because you really want to take out one character at least before they're allowed to go. So that's a good trick to do, is just to back out and just keep trying different ways to make sure you take out at least one character before any of them get to go. So, and for our biggest mistakes, I'm going to actually start off with a very controversial one. This isn't technically a mistake. I think it's just a playstyle difference. But with tip number 1 with the turn meter cranking, I believe that if you do that first part, if you crank your characters that you need to go first, such as like if I needed Obi-Wan to come in first and shut down the squad, I didn't this is Note 11, I didn't need it, so I just went in with my usual B team here and a tank. You don't need to do suicide squads. Suicide squads are where I would send in basically a whole bunch of level 1 units. The enemy would use all of their abilities, and my units would die, and then I can actually send in the squad and do the damage that I need to, and all their abilities have been used, so in theory they're a lot less dangerous. The problem with that, which is absolutely a problem whether you do it or not, is that you didn't, basically that trick that you did earlier with basically giving yourself turn meter, you're doing that to them. So while they don't have the abilities, you gave them all turn meters to go and do damage that you don't need to sustain. So what I would actually recommend is, if possible, and there's times you have to do it, sometimes that it's just a matter of what you get done, but I believe that if you crank your turn meter, you shouldn't have to send in suicide squads, because that makes these units do unnecessary damage to yours. There's no point to it. If that's what you have to do to get through, go ahead and do that, but for the most part what I'd recommend is cranking your own turn meter and then trying a couple different variations of your team, and you should be able to take out their squad with a minimal amount of losses on your team here. So again, not wrong, it's just I think if you do the turn meter crank, don't rely on the suicide squad unless you absolutely have to, because that is giving them the turn meter. It's giving them tip number 1, where instead if you just cranked your own turn meter with Obi-Wan and you did your ability block, it's kind of the same thing, where you get 2 attack rounds, your abilities, and they can't use theirs. So Obi-Wan, you could use Luminara to do her shutdown with at least one character. There's HK or IG-88. There's tons of characters with ability or debuffs. Just figure out which ones you need, crank them in the first few nodes, and then you can play with them here on node 11 and 12 to really kind of shut down their squad without having to kind of give them the turn meter advantage. So the most important thing in this game, particularly if you're new, in my opinion, is to get as high in arena as possible. You get arena tokens the fastest, but more importantly to me is actually the coins. I need those crystals in order to spend for refreshes, in order to spend to get that gear. It's kind of a rich get richer situation. So arena comes first, but after that, a thing to consider is how fast you develop your B team. Like I said, usually when you first start off, you're going to only have like maybe 1 or 2 extra units, and that's going to make Galactic War difficult. Do your best with kind of subbing them in and such. But eventually you're going to have a full B team. At first, you see I only lost 2 tunes this Galactic War just through backing out and such. But once you have that full B team, you want them to be within 2,000 or 3,000 of your arena team. But what you want to do is actually, sometimes I'll have the stars to promote like one of these guys. I actually won't promote them because I want to work on my B team to kind of get them up, because sometimes that promotion only helps like a little bit. So just be careful of how much you promote and how strong your B team is. General rule is that keep it within like 2,000 or 3,000 of each other. You want your B team just to be slightly weaker, because you want to make sure that your B team can still get you through all of the nodes except for 11 or 12. You only want to, so that's tip 2, is just watch how fast you promote your squad arena team. And then what happens is tip number 3 for biggest mistakes is using your arena team throughout the whole Galactic War. I try and save my arena team until I have a really brutal 9, 11, or 12. I try and save them for 12. Here you'll see I was able to save them for 12. I just wiped out 2 of their new members before they even got to go. So a lot of that comes from Gel Engineer and turn cranking him, but use your arena team for last, because you want them to have full health, full abilities, ready just to rock either 9, 11, or 12 based on difficulty, and just try and save them as much as possible. Because I've had it where I've showed up here in the last stage and I had like the clones, and clones destroy droids, but so by saving them I was able to put in, take out at least 2 of their units, and then my B team was able to kind of mop them up. So with this, I have not lost really Galactic War at all. I think I've lost it maybe once in the past, maybe 8 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that. It's not 100%, but good luck with your Galactic War guy. Hopefully these tips help. Oh, I guess I should say we will put out some more videos if you guys like these. I did want to focus specifically on like the mechanics of backing in, backing out, that sort of thing in terms of pacing with the different nodes. We can put out more videos for the newer members, such as like with the roster and stuff. I'll definitely talk with leadership, or any experienced member. Feel free to reach out to me, because I know I'm only level 76, so I'm definitely newer to this game, but I dive headfirst into strategy. So if you guys want it, we can put some more out, but at a bare minimum we wanted to make sure that everybody knew at least some of these mechanics, because they're definitely things that you can take advantage of in this Galactic War that just aren't available in other game modes. So good luck, guys. Let me know if you're able to get through Gear 12, or no, Gear 12, through Node 12. And if you have any more issues or clarifications, shoot us a message on the Discord channel, reach out to me here on YouTube. We'll do everything that we can to help. Una out.